Hi! The exercise that we're going to be looking at today in Pilates is called the leg pull prone. The purpose and benefit of this exercise is predominantly strength. So it looks to build strength into the core, the lumbar spine, and also into the shoulder girdle. All levels of this exercise have the same start position. We lie prone onto the mat, raising our chest away from the mat. We bring our forearms to rest along the mat, palms facing down, elbows directly below the shoulders. The feet are hip distance apart and just resting on the front of the feet as we do some preps. The preparation for this exercise includes cervical spine stabilisation, pelvic floor engagement alongside the TVA, and some lateral thoracic breathing. So once the shoulders and pelvis are stabilised, the spine is nice and long and the neck is in neutral, we're going to do some preps. So we press the pubic bone towards the mat and we allow the hip bones to come away as we draw that belly button in towards the spine and gently lift the pelvis, tilting it. So the pubic bone is pressing into the mat and the hip bones just gently come away. So it's just a small movement. It's good to start getting you used to pulling that TVA belt on and in. So imagining you're pulling that belly button in towards the spine as you just practice the preparation for the leg pull prone. So as you can see, we're just gently drawing up and in through that waist belt. The pelvic floor is engaging and we're doing some small tilts. So we can perform about 4 to 6 of these preparation exercises and then we can bring ourselves to the next level. So before we go into the next level, we need to concentrate again on the cervical spine setup, stabilisation of the shoulders, making sure the legs are nice and relaxed and that bottom is nice and soft. Once more, we think of drawing those shoulders and rolling the shoulder blades down into their back pockets for that shoulder stabilisation. Head and neck is nice and straight and looking just in front of you. Once we are ready, we need to think about activation of the transversus abdominis as we wrap that waist belt around and we engage the pelvic floor muscle. We need to take a nice inhalation to prepare. As we exhale, we lift the hips up off of the mat so that the weight is resting just above the knees. You can imagine that you have a little fire under your belly as you lift up and you hold. The belly button is feeling as if it's being pulled through the back. You continue to breathe naturally. You can also try visualising a big thick hoist around your middle attached to a crane hook that is holding you suspended in position from your lumbar spine. We're going to aim to hold this position for 6 to 8 breaths. It's really important that we avoid squeezing into the bottom and that we're concentrating on abdominals. So you can really think abs, abs, abs as you really pull in. You're aiming to maintain neutral and you're trying not to sag in the middle. So keep visualizing that tailbone tucking under. If at any point you begin to struggle, just bring that body down nice and slowly with control. You need only complete this exercise once, but as you become more comfortable, you can increase the repetitions. So when you come down, you can just rest, take a child's pose, release, stretch, and push up into cobra pose to stretch off, which I will show you at the end. So that was the middle level. For the advanced, we go into full leg pull prone, where we can tuck the toes under and prepare to lift the whole body up onto the toes and onto the forearms. So this requires a lot of strength. So make sure you can practice and feel comfortable holding just above the knee before you go into this level. So as always, we need to maintain the setup, thinking of the cervical spine, thinking of shoulder stabilization. We need to engage the pelvic floor muscle by drawing it up and in and think about that TVA. We need to tuck the toes under and make sure the feet are hip distance apart and that we've got that nice solid position. Think about that neutral spine And prepare by taking some nice breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. Make sure the forearms are resting along the mat, palms down, and that the elbows remain directly below the shoulders. So we pull the tummy button in, imagining that little fire under our belly, and we lift the hips up off the mat so the weight becomes just above the knees. As we reach, we continue to think abdominals, 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 as we lift the weight up and aim for that nice long straight line, pushing back onto the toes and stretching out through the back of the legs. Continue to breathe naturally. Continue to visualize the big thick hoist around your middle, attached to that crane hook that is still holding you up suspended. Keep breathing, avoid squeezing into that bottom. Continue to maintain neutral, trying not to sag in the middle, tucking under that tailbone at all times. As I said before, if you begin to struggle, bring the body down nice and slowly with control. As you become stronger in this position, you can hold for longer, you can increase the amount of reps, and you can even begin by lifting one leg away from the mat whilst maintaining that nice solid neutral spine. But for the time being, we're just going to concentrate on sticking to the leg pull prone. Focus on that breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Once you've held for 6 to 8 breaths, you can gently place the knees down, untuck the toes. With control, bring that body down onto the mat. Once you're down onto the mat, you can bring yourself up into a release stretch. For this exercise, I prefer to come up first into a cobra pose to release the abdominals. Feel the length right the way through the front, from the chest plate down to the pubic bone. And then you can push back into a child's pose to release after this exercise.